Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mini Sticks Podcast, episode number 4. Who are we pleased to have, Cedric?
We're pleased to have Dan and Chris from Empty Netters Podcast. How are you boys today?
We are excellent, dude. I'm a little sweaty in Vegas, to be honest with you, but otherwise extremely happy to be here.
I didn't realize we were top 5 episodes of all time, so I'm fucking... Oh, wait, can I swear on this?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm fucking pumped that we're top 5. This is fantastic.
You're number 4, Bobby Orr, too, by the way. So sorry to the Habs fans here, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. I heard that you guys were Boston fans, so I knew that this episode would probably make a lot of sense eventually. I mean, like, honestly, my biggest question with you guys is, I think you guys started this about a year ago, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are like, I think I had already like 100,000 followers on Instagram, all this kind of stuff. How did that happen? What were you guys doing before Empty Netters?
It happened because we're just simply awesome. And it just So we live in LA. We've been in LA for like 10 years, and we moved there to work in an entertainment industry. We write movies and TV. We've worked on a bunch of different TV shows, have a bunch of movies in the works. Okay. And during COVID, the entertainment industry shut down completely. And we had a lot of free time. And we had written a TV show that was, you ever heard of the show Friday Night Lights?
Yeah.
The show is like the Friday Night Lights of New England prep school hockey. We both played New England prep school hockey. We were like, prep school is a fascinating world. Never really seen a show about it. Might as well do it about hockey as well. And the guys at Almost Friday Media read that pilot and that show and saw that it was in the works. And they were in the market to make a hockey page. So they hired us to write jokes and make an Instagram page, which we did because entertainment was shut down. And we were like, yeah, cool, a little extra scratch on the side. And we made the Instagram page. It kind of took off, went really well, really fast. And then they just heard us talking about hockey. And they're like, you guys should have a podcast. We weren't into it at all, just because we love the game so much. We really like the Chicklets guys. We didn't want to be just another hockey podcast. And then we kind of figured out what made us different. We gave it a shot. Early days, we had a couple of clips that went viral because we predicted a couple things. And then truly, man, beginning of last year, what was that, October, November?
Yeah, it was like start of the season, right?
Yeah, right around the start of the season, Matt Duchene asked to come on the show. He came on the show. People really liked our interview with him. And then more guys came on the show. And then here we are. Like, it was truly we just took a lot of time and a lot of effort in our player interviews. And our whole thing is, we talk about NHL news. We talk about everything that's going on in the league, things like the draft and all that. But at the end of the day, we are a players podcast. And we're not a show that's going to ask the same bullshit questions, asking about the power play, ask what it's like to play in this city or that city. We do a lot of work to make sure these guys feel like they're just talking to their buddies and about stuff that they're interested in, not just hockey. And it just has kind of made it a show that a lot of players are like, oh, I could go on there and just like relax for an hour and have fun with people, let people get to know my personality. That's really what that is.
I will say two things kind of happened, or like one thing kind of happened and one thing we realized. The thing that kind of happened was the Friday Beers main page, that's the parent company. When we started, they were like, be the Friday Beers of hockey. So we were trying to do that. Like, we were writing jokes that you could see on their main page, but just had a hockey clip on it or whatever, And it got to a point where, like Dan said, when we were just talking hockey in the office, I was like, I think we would enjoy this more if it was just a hockey account that you guys owned instead of the Friday Beers of hockey. And they were like, yeah, you know what? You do your thing. Like, whatever would make you guys happy, be you and talk about hockey the way you guys want to talk about it, not the way you think we want you to talk about it. And that was a big inflection point for us where I was like, okay, now we're doing our thing. You're seeing our personalities. And the other thing I'd say, dude, you guys know this full well, hockey community is small compared to these other major sports.
Big time.
And people want more of it. That's why I love what we do. I love that you guys are doing this. We found when all our fears of like, oh, well, everybody listens to Chicklets and that's it. Hockey fans are like, no, dude, I actually want to talk about hockey more. And I'll take anything I can get. So it's actually been really cool, the more and more shows popping up now, because I'm like, good, I listen to all of them. I'm going to be listening to you guys now. Like, I want to consume all hockey, and I kind of found hockey fans want that too.
Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So initially, you guys didn't really think about being in front of the camera. Like, you guys were script writers. You guys hadn't had, like, acting or any kind of thing. Like, that wasn't really your thing.
Dude, in fact, when our bosses at first were like, yo, you guys should, even before the pod, they were like, just do videos, on your IG, on your TikTok, whatever. we were both like, no, dude, because my biggest fear as entertainment picked back up after COVID was like, Dan and I walk into a meeting trying to sell this movie we've been working for 3 months, and then the head of the studio goes, "Are you guys the Friday Beers hockey guys?" And we were gonna be like, "Yeah." So I was like, I don't know, I'm terrified about this. Didn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely, dude. It was like, I remember the first couple things we did was, again, during COVID. I was like, we went back to our parents' house in Maine, and I found an old shitty Eastern Synergy super tough stick in pristine condition, and I like sauced a puck across the driveway into a recycling bin. And then we did one of those stupid little Friday Beer style skits where I like dangled someone in the office and they turned into a skeleton. And those were like the first times we were on camera. And I remember when we posted it, I was like, fuck, I'm on the internet now. This is a goddamn disaster.
Like, you must have been buzzing. You're like, my friends are going to see this shit.
Yeah, dude. And like all of a sudden we were then in some of the Friday Beer sketches, and Friday Beers blew up. So a ton of our friends from home were like, holy shit, were you just in that sketch? And now here we are, just all over the internet, and it's like, okay,
dude. I still don't really, but I barely have a personal. Like, it's a burner. There's no picture. I've never posted anything, so I didn't even.
Sounds like death threats.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I didn't even have.
Fuck you, Habs fans, motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
He's like, fuck me. I mean, nice pick.
Yeah, losers. Dude, so I didn't even, I wasn't really in the IG world, truly, when we started this. And I remember when we first started and started putting our face on it and whatever, and I'm in the comments, like, people are like, this guy fucking sucks, he's an idiot, doesn't know, like, such mean shit. And I'm looking at Dan like, dude, look at what this guy said. And Dan was like, oh, buddy, you gotta get some tougher skin if you're gonna get in this game, dude. You cannot be worried about the comment section. And I was like, yeah, true, you're right. So yeah, you gotta, once you put the face out there, you kind of just gotta let it roll and see what happens.
No, seriously, like, that was like probably the only reason I never started what we do with HFTV, like going outside the Bell Center. The only reason I didn't want my face to be on. That's the only reason. I'm like, okay, like, someone will come along and I'll convince them to go in front of the camera. And I had this idea, like, when I was in like high school, like I was like 16 years old. Like, I'm now 25. And only at 22 I decided to start it, because I'm like, okay, I guess it's gonna be me asking the questions until maybe I get some help. And then he came along, so I totally get that. And also, like, you talk about going into there, I'm gonna become a lawyer, so eventually I'm gonna have to walk into a lawyer's office and they're gonna be like, aren't you hammered
outside the Bell Center?
Did I see you dump a Molson on your head after the Habs pick? Like, yeah.
Weren't you a Zegras? What are you doing in my office signing this contract for me? Like, I totally get that.
Were you scared to get on camera? What did you think?
This is the complete opposite.
Complete opposite.
I'm gonna tell the story because, like, I repeat it, but sometimes people don't realize. When he initially came on, he told me that, I've worked with cameras, and he's like, I used to shoot birds and stuff, like, and I know how to use a camera. Turns out maybe he was shooting the different kind of birds, because he did not know how to operate a camera. Yeah. He did not know how to operate a camera.
Hey, fake it till you make it, eh?
And eventually, but what he was really motivated. And eventually one night I couldn't make it, and he was like, oh, well, I can ask the questions for you. And this kid just knows hockey. That's it. But and he loves the camera.
Like, we talk about getting recognized. What was like the weirdest place you guys got recognized?
Oh, great question.
That's a great question. I think the weirdest place, we got recognized in the Madrid airport once.
Oh shit!
And I was like, oh my god, like, this is. And I'll also tell you this, like, listen, we're not famous, but in the hockey world and community, like, when we're going back and forth, Edmonton, Florida, and there's a big hockey fandom there, then yeah, it gets a little, messy. Yeah. But there have been a few times where you're not expecting it, and that's not something I really signed up for, and I'm not complaining. It's awesome. And at the end of the day, how we said the hockey community is small, the hockey fan community is like the coolest group of people in the world. Sometimes people will get loud at you in the comment section, but I've never once had a fan come up to me and be like, fuck you, you didn't like what my favorite team did. They come up and they're like, can I take a picture, or like, give me a hug? And they're the nicest people in the world. Yeah. It has been a couple, like the Madrid airport was wild. We were back home in our hometown, standing in line at this little hot dog shack that we love. Shout out Flo's. And a kid like heard us talking and was like, yo, are you the Empty Netters guys? And like he recognized our voices. And that was wild because our dad was with us and he was like, what the fuck is going on? So it has hit a point where I won't lie, when we're in public, especially a sporting event public, even if it's not hockey, I do have a little bit of the antenna up of like, don't be a drunk idiot right now because you don't know who's watching you, you know? But it's awesome. Like I said, it's like the hockey fans, they're cool fans. They're good people. Like they're just like hockey people, you know? So it's, I never feel worried or anything, but sometimes I am like, does anyone know who I am right now?
I have a funny non-recognized one. We were on a plane. We were going skiing with a buddy. I think maybe Aspen. I can't remember. We were going to Colorado somewhere. And a dude like 2 rows ahead of us in the aisle he's watching Netters. Like he's on it. He's just like watching. And we're sitting and I'm like sitting back here and I'm like, bro, this guy's watching Empty Netters. So when the plane, actually no, he was listening. Sorry, he wasn't watching on YouTube. He had it up on Spotify. So like he's listening to it. And when we start to get off, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go stand like right by him so that when he looks up, he's going to be like, oh my God. And he just like, he's, you know, people at the airport, like everyone's kind of locked in, but like he's on his Spotify and he like looks up because Dan and I are looming. And he just like looks at us, looks back down, looks at us, looks back down. And I'm like, buddy. So then I go, hey man, how are you? And he goes, pretty good, dude. How are you? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? You are listening to my podcast right now. And then we never said anything because I was like, now it's so weird. And I'm like, well, I've been looming over and being a freak.
No. Yeah. You have a nice day.
Yeah. I was like, okay, see ya. Sorry.
Leave me alone.
I was like, oh, bro, that was us. God damn it.
Yeah. No, I think, okay, I think I probably topped the like getting recognized in a weird place. Happened to me literally last week at a funeral.
Oh,
like that one, like no, but not like
the dead guy.
But not like in the funeral, like on the side, like not there, in front of the casket, by the son who lost his mom, like in front, and he's like, "Yo, you guys are blowing up and stuff." I'm like,
whispering.
I'm like, yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. Sorry for your loss, but yeah, I agree.
You pull out the mini stick. You're like, sorry for your loss.
Yeah, that's like a moment. I'm just like, no, like those, like genuinely, those are the moments where I'm like, it's really incredible. It's really, really incredible that like someone is thinking about that at that moment.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes I'm like, oh boy, like this is taking on a different proportion. Like not that I didn't sign up for this, but it's like it's really weird. I don't know.
Probably like one of my funniest stories, like last year when we started, like my math teacher, I was fucking around in class. He took me out of class like, dude, what the fuck are you doing on my Instagram page? I'm like, he didn't give me shit and stuff. He's like, dude, if you're gonna fuck around in my class, you're not gonna fuck around in my Instagram. I just want to see you in one of them. I was like,
I see too much of you now.
Yeah. Him, it's bad. Like at his school, I think like all the like first years and stuff, they used to always just like let him pass in the cafeteria and shit.
Yeah,
like,
that was so cool.
Kids,
there was that one kid freshman year. He like for a year he let me pass in front of him like for a year straight at the cafeteria. Like he would take our orders, like we'd give him the money back because like our cafeteria was so fucking small and like all the good meals were gone like when we arrived. So like at the end at Christmas I gave him a Nick Suzuki signed picture, and when the school ended I gave him like a mini stick and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, that kid was so. Shout out Max, that kid was amazing.
Dude, massive shout out, Max. You
Massive
kidding me?
shout out, Max.
The cafeteria hookup's worth its weight in gold, dude. That's amazing.
But because also like us, it's really Montreal.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't get like you guys have like kind of like more of a United States wide audience. But yeah, actually too, it's true. Like if I put another weird place like LA, we've gotten recognized in LA. We've gotten recognized. Like now when we enter a hockey arena, people will be like, yeah, okay, it's those guys.
Fuck are those guys
That's
going
it.
doing here?
So I mean, you said that it was Matt Duchesne, the interview that kind of like put you guys on the map. I noticed something interesting. On your Instagram, you guys follow 2 people. Why do you follow only Datsyuk and Paulina Gretzky?
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
Pretty simple. They're the king and the queen of hockey. Like Datsyuk is our king. He's the greatest player of all time as far as we're concerned. And then Paulina, honestly, was just, we're in LA. She lives there half the time. You know, it was like she was the princess of the hockey world, you know, Wayne's daughter. And it was just a total joke at first. And I don't know if you've noticed, on Wednesday, we post those Ice is Ready carousels of just like awesome photos. And for a long time, every last photo in the carousel was Paulina. And then is probably 8 or 9 months ago, We met Wayne. We were talking at a BetMGM event. And he was like, yeah, like, you know, I love what you guys are doing. I'd love to come on the podcast soon. And we were like, hell yeah, that'd be amazing. And he was like, I got to say, would love it if you'd stop posting my daughter on shit. And we were like, that's a very fair ask, Wayne. And so we stopped, but we will never follow anyone else. It'll always just be those two. It's great.
Okay, like I'm saying, like you guys don't even follow yourselves.
Yeah.
No,
You guys
hell
are
no.
you guys, whatever. Pavel, Datsyuk, Paulina, Gretzky.
Paulina.
So you say Datsyuk's the best hockey player of all time?
Magic Man.
He's the Magic Man. I mean, listen, like, do I think that? No, but he was growing up. Like, we weren't even Red Wings fans. Like, the Red Wings for a long time have kind of been like my second team. I feel like we all have that second team that you always have had love for. And you know, we've had the pleasure of watching, and as you guys have too, some of the greatest players of all time. Like right now, watching Connor is insane. But I stand by to this day. The shit that Datsyuk did on the ice made zero sense to me. And I think that there's things that he did that Connor can't do, that Nate Dogg can't do. And it was just, he was always a step ahead in terms of the creativity on the ice. And the fact that he did it on both ends too, like this is a Selke guy as well. Yeah. And he also has the best mitts in the world. I just feel like today, some of the moves that guys are doing is stuff that they learned or saw from Datsyuk. Like he was always just creating new stuff, and there's no one I enjoyed watching more.
Also, he was that guy that I wore 13. I wore 13 in everything I played. I already wore 13 before he joined the league, but the fact that he did wear 13 made me like him even more. And he was that guy that I would just buy the Reebok stick with the Datsyuk curve, even if I didn't like. I was like, I don't even like this curve. The stick breaks all the time, but I was like, whatever.
Datsyuk.
I'm fucking getting. Yeah, it's 100%. Maybe whatever he can do, I can do if I have this stick. That's what happened.
It's fair. Like, I have to think like who's like the one player I got obsessed with. I think probably Carey Price. Us, it was probably really Carey Price. You know what? If I had to do exactly what you guys did, and like have like one person we follow, Carey Price.
Dude, you don't want to hear my answer.
Well, tell me right now.
I already know what you're gonna say.
Do you?
Yeah. If it's not Alex Galchenyuk,
It's not.
Okay.
It's not. Like one player I was obsessed with when I was younger, Eric Cole. Eric Cole.
This guy is.
I wore 72 like every year for like 7 years, and like when he got traded to Dallas, I became like the biggest Dallas fan in Montreal.
To this day, by the way, like very quietly, he supports the Dallas Stars.
Yep.
Very quietly.
I love that.
But
good
this
time
is
to
a
support the
Habs.
Stars,
This
boys.
is a Habs. This
He's
is
a
a pure
Habs boy.
Habs fan thing.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's my second team, so we're
Yep.
Second
Different
team. There is no
conference.
second team. There's one fucking team.
Yeah,
I've never.
conference,
You
that's okay.
cannot have.
I've
a
seen
second
you wear a
team.
Columbus jersey,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like,
Okay,
oh,
I did it for
whoa,
go,
whoa,
buddy.
whoa.
Listen, you know why I did it? Because last year, well, we kept having Montembeault steal us some games, and I'm like, you know what, man? I'd love for the Columbus Blue Jackets to beat us so that we can go out of the, so we can get in that top four.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you're fifth? Well, last year happened. Let's just put it that way, okay?
You forget your draft pick's name, yeah.
And what's going to happen this year when we're at fifth? I don't even want to know. I'm living in bliss right now.
Yep.
I'm living in bliss about the draft prospect. I mean, you guys both support the Bruins.
Yep.
I mean, for you guys, like the Bruins now. I mean, trading Ullmark.
Oh, dude, don't even fucking get me started.
I've seen your tweets.
I'm
I've seen your
fuming
tweets.
mad.
Like genuinely, like you guys genuinely got for Ullmark a bag of pucks. Like-
go. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, because the amount of fucking green jeaned idiots on Twitter who are acting like it's half and half. It's people who don't like the Bruins who are going, you guys are overvaluing Ullmark, this and that. I'm like, this guy won the Vezina 2 years ago, you
Literally,
morons.
like last year.
Last year.
People say 2 years ago. Last year.
Yeah. Like, what are we talking about? He's 31 years old. He just had a fantastic season. I have no idea what those people are saying. And then there's a bunch of Bruins fans who just want to tell themselves that we didn't get fleeced. And I'm like, this was a horrible trade. It's a horrible trade no matter which way you cut it. And the only way it's not is if the 25th pick was packaged with something today and flipped for a big thing. And what we're hearing is that that's not happening. So if we go in and the Bruins use that 25th pick and they're just like, yep, we picked a guy that will play in 3 years, and that's what you got for Ullmark, it's just horrible. So I'm disgusted.
If you'd be the Bruins GM, what would be a move that you'd do?
I think a trade. Listen, I'm low on draft picks. I'm not a big draft pick guy. I think that they are assets, but if you can flip a draft pick, because every draft pick is a question mark, right? Like, even Connor Bedard, like, you don't know. He could get hurt. He could not pan out. Obviously, Bedard is going to pan out. But I'm the type of person that if you use a first-round pick and you get a certified, proven NHL star who's, in their prime, that's what you use the draft pick on, and it's worth it. So if I were the Bruins right now, I think the Bruins are in more of a win now era than they maybe even realize. It's McAvoy, Pasta, Swayman. Yep, they're still young, but they're competing, right? Like, they're a very good team. I look at what just happened at Worlds. Martin Necas doesn't want to stay in Carolina. I would go get him and put him with Pasta and Zacha that they just won a gold medal with.
The only issue with Necas is I think I've seen over the last 2 months every single NHL team linked with Necas.
Absolutely.
Like every single, I don't understand. Oh no, but the Habs. No. You don't understand. It's the Habs that are going to get Necas.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, you guys have
now
no
it's Vegas.
fucking idea, man.
Yeah, it's
Vegas.
everyone. But as far as Necas is concerned, if you're Carolina management and you realize you're not going to sign him and they say, hey, the Bruins are asking about you, Necas is like, yeah, I would go there because you're playing with Pasta and Zacha. Like, I think that's the biggest move for them. But they just blew it because what does Carolina need? A goalie. No disrespect to Freddie Anderson, but they need a goalie. And Ullmark would have been a great thing to be able to package with that move. But now that's done.
It's true. It's true. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. Yeah. But I feel like whatever Necas is going to go for eventually, it's just going to be the biggest fleece. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a fleece for Carolina because there's a bidding war on the likes I've never seen of before.
We're going to be honest. Necas, second line guy.
Depending on who he plays with, I agree. But to me, if you put him with a stud, he's getting you 80, 85 points, no question.
Oh, for sure. But you can't overpay for this guy.
Agree with that.
It's going to be a first-line guy haul back, right?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
And I will say, Carolina needs to hold on that. He's RFA. That's what people forget. Like, there's no rush for Carolina to make a deal there. Like, make someone either offer sheet him or overpay. That's what's going to happen, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I personally don't even want to entertain the idea because the amount of free agents that say they're coming to Montreal and then they don't end up coming. Like, now, I think we were supposed to have who were we supposed to have back in the day that was like the big thing? Well, we were supposed to have Cavalier. We were supposed to have Briere the first time. Then eventually came when he was finished. But Briere the first time, people were like, "Oh my god, he's coming."
The recent one you might have dodged a bullet on is PL. Everyone was saying PL was coming straight to Montreal.
Having a tough time. No. I never thought because I think at the time he was asking last year it was $9 million. Like for $9 million.
Yeah,
man.
probably.
No.
Because what's he on? 8
No. I don't think he would have even admitted that he would have had play up until that time that would have been worth $9 million. He probably had a season that was almost as good as Slavkovsky's. Yeah. In the last year in Winnipeg, and I don't know.
But still, people are gonna shit on the Kings for the Capitals for a trade, but I think they want it. That's my hottest take because they don't have a center. They don't have a center for the next few years. There's Hendrix Lapierre in the AHL. He's not ready yet. Now they're going to have a center for the next 2-3 years. First line center. Backstrom's washed. Kuznetsov's not there anymore. Who's going to play with Ovi? They need this guy.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you there because PL, he came on the show. It was an awesome episode. He's such a nice guy. Everybody in the Kings that we know well that talk about him.
I love him.
Yeah, it's he's the man, awesome, right?
Dude. Yeah.
And it sucks. I'm rooting for him. When I remember before the King season, I was like, he feels comfortable. He feels okay. It's going to be awesome. He's going to have that 85-point year, and they're going to say it was worth every penny, And obviously the year went horribly. But, and I hated some of the comments as he was leaving, being like, well, I wasn't playing with the right guys. It's not my fault. And I'm like, come on. Yeah. But I do hear you on, there's no question where you're going to play in the Capitals, right? Here you go, dude. 1C, play with Ovi, figure it out. And I kind of would have been interested to see that in Montreal too, where it's just go be the guy, dude.
Yeah, but in Montreal it would have been the third or second center.
Second, right? Yeah.
Even the third, because if Kirby Dach was not injured,
yeah, I love Curbs too. Yeah,
it would have been second or even first.
Yeah. So maybe Cap's even better, to your point, where it's just hey, dude, go and I know they made the playoffs this year, but that felt like a fucking joke. So it's with a little less pressure. The Kings obviously had such high expectations coming in that with the PL signing, the Caps, I'm like, dude, if you guys are a wild card team, good for you, you know? So he can just kind of chill for a second, hopefully, and be like, hey, dude, pass a few pucks to Obi, have a good time, and see how DC suits you. So I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, no, I'm rooting for him too, because I know, like, even, like, now he's not, just to show you how crazy the Quebec media is, like, now he's not even playing for the Canadiens. But people still talk about PLD in the thing. So if you could imagine what would happen if he came on the Habs, like, I think I've always had this thing. It would be terrible, because I think we've always had this thing that, like, no, actually, the French players are going to want to come on. We had yesterday Sacha Boisvert. He's projected to be first round. He's like, no, like, I would love it. Like, the pressure, like, is a privilege and everything. And I'm like, yeah, but then, like, wait till you go scoreless in 3 days. Like, I think they've actually become hardened to it, and I don't know. It's a very weird. It's like us. I think the dudes that are really safe that are Quebecer are dudes that are playing like third or fourth line, because you don't expect too much from them, and you know when they put up a point, it's like, okay, they're like the best thing we've ever seen. But I think when they're expected to be on the first and second line, and they're not producing, that's when shit has hit the fan in the past.
You know what I think's funny about the Montreal fan base is
Tell us.
And keep in mind, Montreal, not just in the NHL, is like a top 3 city in the world for me. I love Montreal. I think the Bell Center is the greatest barn in the league, and you guys have the best sweaters in the league as well. So regardless of the Boston-Montreal rivalry, like, I've got nothing but love for the Habs. I think of the Canadian markets that always talk about, you know, the media is so hard on players. Edmonton's tough up there, but at the same time, the media will give these guys shit, but they are so beloved in that city. It's all they have. A lot of them are like, it's literally the best thing we have is this Oilers team. We love these guys. Toronto, media is brutal, awful, so annoying. They walk around the streets in that awesome, fun city. Everyone loves them. So nice to them. Montreal fans will literally motherfuck players walking down the street. Like, it's insane. Like, and I'm not talking 80s, 70s. Like, right now, if a Montreal player has a bad game and they're walking down the street, people will be like this, fuck you, you sucked last night. And that is like special fandom.
You say that, but it's actually true. Like, when the players like come out of the parking lot, some people just like throw them insults and stuff like that. They say fuck you and stuff.
I remember
the video with the Suzuki.
Yeah, at some point we had caught Suzuki with like
with
his dad, whatever. He was in the car. We tried ourselves. He was like, okay, sure. And then you just hear some dude in the back. He's like, tell Gallagher he fucking sucks. I'm like,
so incredible.
And the problem is, like, it was as I'm finishing my question, so I'm like, okay, I gotta post this now.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta leave it in, and I almost have to put like subtitles. Like, I can't just like ignore that.
Yeah,
you can't just ignore that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I find it insane. Like, I've never, I don't know. It takes something special to like go up to a player playing in the National Hockey League, being a 0.1% hockey player, and telling them they suck.
Yep, it's insane, dude. When Chelios, the first time he came on, I think he said to something I thought was so awesome, where he was like, in Chicago, you know, great hockey history there and all that shit, but he was like, dude, Chicago, the fans love sports, but they don't know hockey super well, to the point that he was like, I could be having a bad game or we could be losing, but it'd be like 3 minutes left in the third and I just go lay someone out and the crowd goes crazy and everyone's like, sick game, Chelly. But he's like, in Montreal, dude, they knew. Like, they know I'm a -2 tonight. If I make one bad pass in the neutral zone, I could have 2 points and make one bad neutral zone pass. And they're like, boo, you bum. And he was like, it's tough, to your point, right? You got to have the right attitude, the right guy. But I fucking love it, dude. Just the knowledge of the game in that city is fucking sick and impossible to duplicate.
Yeah. No, big time. And I feel like there's so much, like, after a game, like, we'll interview people for like an hour, okay? We've been to every Habs game now for, I think, the last 2 years straight. Just, like, after the game. Like, sometimes we haven't even been in the building, but we show up after. And, like, man, like, especially when Drouin was back around last year, man. Oh my God. Like, it was hard to, like, watch, like, after a few times. And at some point, then you know, we come back home and we're like, okay, what do we post? It's like Drouin. And eventually, I even found it repetitive to the point that I'm like, you know what? I'm not talking about Drouin anymore.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, I don't feel like, sure, he's not playing his best, but, like, genuinely, I feel like now it's, like, over the top.
Like 2 years ago when people were talking about Drouin near the end of the year, like, okay, interview's done. Next one. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
or even, like, Connor Bedard, man. Like, interview's done.
literally half of our season. No, the whole season. Every game.
Betsy.
We're ready for Betsy. We're ready for Betsy. Yeah. Well, you know what? Kent Hughes said fucking no. Because he wanted Montembeault to steal games in March. Okay.
Hey, you guys think you have it bad? Think about Buffalo fans. Last 5 years, they've had to watch O'Reilly, Eichel, and now Reinhardt win a cup right in their face after they gave up.
Yeah, literally, like that. Lucky, the Buffalo Sabres were amazing drafting, amazing drafting. Like
they
surprising.
just quit on players too quick. It's crazy.
Turns out when you tank for like 10 years, you might get a few good players together. Turns out.
What terrifies me is I think Colorado is so pissed off of what's happened to them the last 2 years with injuries with Landy and then,
Nichushkin,
what's going on with Nichushkin this year. And I have big eyes on them making big moves this summer. And if they win a cup next year and Middlestat is lifting a cup in Buffalo's face, I'm going to be like, pray to God for this fan base. Like, but
seriously, and I think this season, like, it became really apparent that like Buffalo Sabres fans were not showing up to the rink.
Yeah, which is nuts because they love that team. And that is another city that's like, dude, if you've never been, Buffalo is a absolute gas. It's so fun, really cool people, cool fans, and they love that team. But this year was tough. It was like the frustration got to them for sure.
Like genuinely, what's really sad is like our rebuild started like 3 years ago, and I feel like we're probably in ahead of them at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there with them at the very least. I'll tell you that. And with the pick that you have, that's huge.
Another pick, and maybe a little trade. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they do with that.
But they got something we don't.
What?
A goalie.
No, I like Montembeault.
Yeah, but they got Levi.
Yeah, and they got UPL. I think UPL might be stepping up on Levi, honestly. That's a very interesting situation with them. What they need to do, I think, is tandem those two, like Boston has done with Swayman and Ullmark. Yeah. The question is, are they both ready? Because they're both so young.
They had Ullmark.
Dude.
I know. But you know what? I will say, though, Ullmark was they didn't realize what they had. They should have got more. I mean, we got him for free. Yeah. Like, that was tough. But he was one of those situations where like his numbers, when you looked at him closely, were actually quite good. His record was terrible, so no one thought about it. That's why Boston signed him for $5 million. You know, it's brutal to see for that.
Yeah, I mean, what else did you have in mind? I want to know
what's the best screenplay that you guys wrote?
Yeah, seriously, cool. There must be one that went famous or something on the low.
Yeah.
We've worked on a few TV shows that have come out, but we have 2 movies that are casting right now that are about to shoot hopefully very soon that we're pumped about. We can't talk about them that much, but
obviously,
when we can, we'll let you guys know for sure. But one of them is a really fun sort of like crime mystery movie that's also kind of comedic. So it's a lot like Fargo or like Knives Out. And that cast has just recently come together, and it's a fucking blast. So that one's going to be super fun. Like, it's just a classic, fun crime comedy, like a Coen Brothers movie, and I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, and so that was so. This is basically like screenwriting was your grind.
Yeah.
Like, let's say before the Hockey Pods, you guys were just writing scripts, selling them, and that was it.
Oh yeah, dude, and it was holy shit, man. Like we both. God bless our parents. Like we went to great schools, we got fancy degrees, and when we were both in college, it was just like, this is what we wanted to do. We were doing it in our spare time. We were auditing classes at different schools who had better film classes, and then we were entering screenwriting competitions. And they just believed in us, and they're like, yep, go for it. Pack up the car and move to LA. And we did exactly that. And dude, that first year was like the stuff you hear about in stories. We were living in a, kind of shitty 1.5 bedroom apartment with 2 other dudes. We were eating like cream corn and hot sauce for dinner every single night for a year and just like barely surviving. And you just get whatever job you can. We were doing like shitty dude, I worked. You remember those stupid CDs that used to come out called Kids Bop?
Yeah.
It might be more of an American thing, but it was like every year, actually like 4 times a year, they would get a collection of 20 of the most popular songs going, and then they would have kids like re-sing them. And it was a CD called like Kids Bop. There was like 68 of them by the end of it. It was like Kids Bop 68.
Yeah, no, I remember them.
And I worked a PA job on like 7 of those commercials because they would shoot commercials advertising it. And you'd be on set for fucking 9 hours getting paid $150 for the entire day. and I would just hear the same Bruno Mars song over and over, sung by some 12-year-old kid. And I was like, if there's a gun on this set, I'm going to use it on myself.
Well,
I swear to God.
And because of you, I had to put a gun to my fucking head every time that the kid
Like
bumped him. So
I made that happen. It's terrible.
Jesus.
Dude, our mom would mail us because she'd be like, we'd come home, we'd like never get back, we'd try to get back for Christmas or something, we'd come back and just be like rail thin because we're not eating and just like barely surviving out there, and she'd be worrying and shit, and then she would start mailing us cans of tuna, and I'd be like, Mom, send me the money. Like, and how much was the postage on the fucking tuna can? I could have bought 2 tuna cans if you just mailed me this much money that you paid on stamps to get this tuna across the fucking country. But
It's like a 50-pound box now.
Jesus Christ, dude. But it kept us alive, so who am I to complain?
And I mean, like, how long had you guys been doing screenwriting before this podcast?
Been in LA. We moved to LA 10 years ago. So we got to LA 10 years ago.
We started in prep school. That's it.
Yeah.
We went to different prep. We went to rival prep schools actually, and I think we just started doing it then. And we would kind of like bounce ideas off each other. It was a cool way to keep in touch when we were at different schools. And then we just in the summers we started, writing shit together, shooting like little short films and stuff. And it was just, it's funny, man. Outside of to now, look where we are. We're in our 30s, and say that we work in hockey and in movies. And I look back to when I was 16 years old, and what were the 2 things? Do you remember when you were kids, you're obsessed with one thing? For most of us, I'd guess it was hockey. We were obsessed with movies and hockey. And the fact that we do both of those is insane to me. And it's like, it makes sense. It's cool. I'm so blessed for it. But it is like, it was, other than hockey, it was the one thing I could see myself being interested in. Like I never wanted a accounting job. I never wanted a sales job. And no disrespect to those things. I just knew it wouldn't, fulfill me or get me up in the morning with a smile on my
you're
face.
creative, basically.
So we had to figure it out. And we, thank God it took a while, but we did it. So.
And you guys know it's like it sounds and looks cooler. Like I'm like, I write movies and do a hockey podcast, and I'm at the Cup, and everyone's like, you have the sickest life ever. And I'm like, well, yeah, but there's a lot of downtime, like the movie shit is crazy because it's like, oh, one sells, everything's going good, and then something gets fucked up with that one, an actor drops out, and then you write 2 other movies, everybody hates it, and you're like, oh shit, we're clowns, what are we doing here? So it's a lot of a grind, but like he said, it scratches that creative itch for us that I really like.
Like I get that feeling, like we'll post a video, whatever, if it doesn't have like 10,000 views in an hour, I'm like, oh, it's a failure. Yeah. Like I should like quit this. I'm gonna go back to law school. I'm gonna go do my stuff. Fuck it. And I think it's just like, especially social media. Like I don't know. Like do you guys monitor when you guys put out something? Like honestly,
we used to have like we're pretty organized guys, I'd say, and we used to have like, okay, at this hour and this hour and this hour is when we post, and it's this. There's a couple things like those beer league hotline things we do. We post on Wednesdays, and we organize it in that sense. But man, like if there's any advice we could give you as you guys keep growing in this space, is that feeling that this video is gonna crush and then it doesn't. Who gives a shit, dude? Like I watch some of the guys at Friday Beers who do the sketch stuff, and they'll make a stupid little sketch and they'll post it and it doesn't do well, and the rest of the day they're moping around, and I'm like, dude, post another video tomorrow. Who gives a fuck? Like you're not going to lose followers because one video didn't do well. You're not going to lose credibility because one video didn't do well. And when we kind of switched into that mentality, listen, if you post 20 in a row and they all suck, then maybe that's a problem, but that's not going to happen. You're doing good work. You're posting good content. It'll take off.
Like it.
Yeah.
If you like it, believe it.
Yeah. And it's just like getting that mentality of like, it's not life or death, dude. And we feel that way with writing too. It's like, sure, there's big budgets on some of these things, and people in the entertainment industry, which we adore, take some stuff way too seriously. And at the end of the day, I'm like, we are making up fucking stories. This is not life or death. Calm down, everybody. Like it's all fun and games here. And it's the same thing with what we're doing. We're not on the ice trying to win the Stanley Cup. We're sitting here talking about it. So it should just be fun. That's it.
I agree.
Who was the coolest person you met in the movie industry?
Ooh. You have one already?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot come to mind.
I know. I'll answer this just off the top of my head. I don't know. I'm not stamping this as the coolest person, but just for me, We did something with Jim Carrey. And I just,
cool.
you know, like we're older than you guys, but just like being a kid growing up on like
big time.
Ace Ventura, The Mask, like whatever, like just the Murderer's Row of comedy movies that he did. When you work in entertainment in LA, you see, it's not like you see celebrities on the street all the time. I feel like people think that about LA. Like you just walk to the grocery store and run into Brad Pitt. And I'm like, Brad Pitt doesn't go to Ralph's, dog. But when you work in entertainment, you do end up seeing a lot of celebrities, and pretty quickly you lose that shine of like, oh, I'm so starstruck, because you're meeting people a lot and they're just people. Jim Carrey was one of the few dudes where I was like, bro, you're my guy.
You felt starstruck.
Yeah, like I was like, thank you so much for making me laugh my entire childhood, man. And he was so chill about it too. Yeah, that was a cool one for me.
Mine's meeting actors, actresses is obviously cool, but they, similar to, especially in our world, like some of the NHL guys, they're used to getting bombarded all the time. We had a great moment with Christopher Nolan, and that's like, you know, top 2 director for me. And he's just the most gentlemanly, intelligent person ever. And getting to talk to him and just pick his brain was just like out of this world. And sitting there being like, you have 5 of my top 10 movies of all time. It's like, that was a rare starstruck moment. I was like, holy shit, this is nuts for sure.
If you could write the best NHL season possible, what would be, how would it go?
Fucking close to this year, eh? Like, holy shit, man.
Like, that Edmonton, if they would have pulled it off, man, that would have been the movie.
It's scripted.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're suckers for greatness, and like seeing Connor doing what he was doing, bringing it all the way back to Game 7, that was insane. Man, I would really love. We as Bruins fans, obviously, it was devastating, but
yeah.
The original 6 matchup element of that Chicago-Boston series was amazing. I would love to see another original 6 final. And we're getting to the point where there's not a lot of options, right? Like it's Chicago is really the only one. But I'd like to see you guys in the Cup, honestly. Like I just think when I think about what the city of Montreal would be doing during a Cup final would be absolutely electric.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I got. Bedard goes fucking nuclear next year. Scores 50.
Come on,
the
too
Hawks.
early.
Listen, the Hawks are nasty. Okay, Edmonton starts off slow again. Everyone's freaking out, but then they do their bullshit. Win 18 games in a row. They're firing. We have a Western Conference Finals of McDavid versus Bedard in an absolute tilt, and then on the East. Matthews goes nuclear again. The Leafs are in the Eastern Finals for the first time. But
yeah, this is why it's a movie, right?
But this summer, Sidney Crosby is traded to the Habs, brings them all the way to the Eastern Finals. So we have
along with Ovechkin.
Oh, okay. Oh, and Ovi.
Sid and Ovi join forces.
So we have Sid and Ovi on the Habs playing against Matthews and the Leafs in the Eastern Finals. McDavid, Bedard in the Western Finals. McDavid wins to go back to the Cup to try to do what the Panthers did this year, but Sid and Ovi and the Habs beat Matthews and the Leafs, and we have an all-Canadian final, McDavid versus Crosby. Crosby wins for the Habs for his hometown team and then retires on the spot as he accepts the Conn Smythe.
No way. that's a crazy script.
Yo, we're gonna have to cut this out of the podcast because that's a movie. That's
a movie.
Right
that's
there.
literally a movie.
I'm telling you guys, I forget what did it. Like you just saying that. Oh, as you were talking, I was like, bring up Crosby, and you did. We should work together sometime.
Yeah.
We did something a little while ago. I forget what it was, but I was like talking on a green screen video, and I mentioned in it, kind of off the cuff, how unreal would it be if Ovi, like at the end of their careers, Ovi and Sid got traded to the same team and they won a cup together? That would be
fucking insane.
Think about it, guys.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time. I mean, Seth, how old are you?
18.
Okay, Jesus Christ, I didn't realize you were that.
That's usually the reaction we get.
Were you born in? Where were you born?
It's my draft year, man.
Okay, so you don't remember this, but you've certainly heard of it. Dude, these two guys saved the NHL. People forget that.
Sure. Yeah,
Sid and Ovi came back after that lockout year, both rookies, and they saved the NHL. Mm-hmm. It would be as like Bettman is listening to this right now, and he's rock hard. Those two getting on the same team and winning a cup together and retiring on the spot would literally be the greatest NHL moment of all time. I would die. I would do whatever I could to poison the other team to make sure that those two won, because it would be truly the greatest script moment of all time. No question.
Listen, all I'm going to say is that script right there, I'm packaging that up and I'm sending it to Kent Hughes.
Yeah, come
I'm
on.
sending it to Kent Hughes. I'm just going to say, bring Crosby onto the Habs. Try and get Ovi as well.
Yep.
We're winning a cup.
Easy. How do you guys feel about the Habs this year? Let me ask you a question. Boys in the playoffs or no?
You know what?
Here we go.
It's all gonna go down tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
It's all gonna go down tomorrow.
Who do you want?
I want to trade.
Oh, shit.
No.
Either I want to trade or a D.
I like that. I like that D call. I'm not sure he's going to fall, but I've seen it a couple times. If Caden Lindstrom is available, guys, this kid is a game breaker.
Yeah,
like if he falls to you, that is a huge pick and a huge deal. So hold out hope for that. But I like the idea of a big trade.
What about the back? The herniated disc.
I know he's going to be fine. Think about what people are doing with herniated discs these days. It's unbelievable. They're putting robot parts in people now. We're fine. So I wouldn't worry about that. He's too young to worry about that.
Listen, for me, it's like we missed out on our Russian star last year.
That was a nightmare.
Because of the Russian factor.
Yeah.
So-called.
That was such a bummer.
Yeah.
But I just, like, genuinely, I just don't believe it. I don't believe that genuinely this Russian factor is what's making teams not pick him. I genuinely think the Canadians thought, no, Reinbacher has more talent than Michkov last year. That's what I think happened. I don't necessarily agree with that assessment.
Michkov's so good.
I know, thank you.
Yeah.
I know. I can't wait to see him in Philly next year.
Yeah.
It's so, like, that's why, like, this week,
points next year.
like, this week was just terrible. Like, we just see, oh, yeah, turns out Michkov, no problem. Yeah, by the way, SK is like, yeah, you know what, we'll let him go.
Go on
No
over.
problem. You
Yeah,
go
have
ahead.
fun.
It was your dream, honor your father and everything. And I'm like, oh, cool, nice. I wish we had a good kid like that.
Yeah.
And so this year, I want us to get our Russian star. I want fucking Demidov.
If he falls,
Yeah.
I mean, miracle.
I want that fucking kid, man.
Yeah.
I want to sing the Russian national anthem at the NHL draft.
Yep.
That's what I want to do. I'll learn it. I'll learn it. I
learn
swear
it
to God.
tonight. I'll learn it
I'm
tonight.
learning-
Don't get canceled, man.
Yeah, listen, man. Yo, I don't care, man. It's the Russian national anthem. I'm singing it, okay? Fuck. It's his home country.
We're taking vodka shots with him.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hey, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
We got to make sure we're not here for you when we do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, we just got to go back. Oh, right. You go back to Canada.
Go
Yeah.
back up to Canada.
Yeah, that's it. Back to Montreal. Don't worry. Well, even here, anyways.
Vegas feels fine too.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, if it's not Demidov or bust, but it's like Lindstrom, I'll be happy to. I'll be really honest. I'll be really happy.
He's special. I'm telling you. He's a
He
good
looks
player.
like great. He looks really great. The hockey sense, he'll probably have to build it out, but like he's got the frame, he's got everything that you would want out of a guy. Demidov is what? And also, Demidov, we were saying, oh, he's 5'11". The guy's like 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
So then the height thing goes out the window. It's like, ooh, like there's overwhelming.
I love how we were talking with Canada. Like nobody knows the Russian dudes. They're like, I don't know how tall he is. I don't know how much he weighs. Like every site has
It's
a
like a
different
mystery.
thing. Yeah, I'm like, what? Where is he, dude?
Someone go stand next to the
it's
kid.
insane.
Yeah. Literally, last year when we met Michkov,
Michkov.
there were dudes in like Reddit forums. They're like, okay, how tall is this guy and how tall is this guy? And compared to Michkov, and then they were doing calculations. I'm like, hey guys, I'm 6 feet.
Yeah.
He's like 6'2".
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Done.
Problem solved.
Done.
You know.
Like last year, we were lucky. We were like the only ones who met Michkov.
I think
It's so funny.
very weird.
It was. We didn't get him. Like he was in and out. It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys ever talk to the agent?
Yeah.
Did you?
He's an interesting guy, huh?
Oh yeah. Very.
That's it. Because apparently, when we showed up near that hotel, people were trying to get their stuff signed by Michkov, and the agent was like, no, like completely protected. So us were like, okay, Michkov is like, no chance.
Yeah.
We heard this. So then we're coming back, and then we just see him chilling like on the side of his hotel with like his 3 friends, just like chilling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, said, is the agent there? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, let's go say hi. And then we said hi, whatever. You speak to him through a translator or whatever. And then I eventually told him, I'm like, Matvey, like, honestly, like if the Habs don't pick you, like we're Habs fans, I'm like, if the Habs don't pick you, like I genuinely think they should just blow up the team and just call it a night. And the kids started dying of laughter so much, like through the translation and everything. And really the only thing he had to say was, well, listen, all they have to do is pick me. So for me, the whole Russian factor and everything is like, or he didn't want to come to play in Montreal. Like, I did not get that sense in any way, shape, or form.
Montreal's cold like Mother Russia. I should have came here, man. Like, for real.
Michkov's translator calls the cops. He's like, these guys are going to blow up the draft. I don't know what's going on.
Like, oh, fuck. That would have been a nice ending. That would have been a nice ending for the draft then. Oh, man.
HFTV ends on the spot right
Fuck.
Honestly, better that way. Fuck. Like, a nice fitting ending, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, both brothers, both screenwriters, now hockey podcast. What was the best memory you guys had together?
Wow, God. Let's do hockey. I would say, God, maybe being on the ice last year with Jack was cool. And then maybe
I know mine.
Go.
In the hockey space, I mean, we could bore you with like times playing together growing up and stuff like that's awesome. But as far as the Empty Netters run, for me, we did a really, really awesome live show this year at All Star in Toronto. And we were on stage with Chelios, Ray Bourque, Wendell Clark, and being Bruins fans. Our dad is a Bruins fan, and like Ray was that really awesome connection of he was a huge favorite player of our dad's, and then we were born and he played long enough into our lives where we were Bourque fans. So Ray Bourque was kind of our like we both, us and our dad, loved Ray Bourque, and definitely had a moment there of like standing on stage at this live show, asking Ray questions, like hanging out, joking around with Ray Bourque, being like, what the fuck is going on right now? And being able to send that photo to our dad was really, really, really cool.
It was sick. It was sick because we get to the live show and there's like, we got waters and shit everywhere. And Ray, and I'm like a little starstruck, like Dan just said. I'm like, hey, Ray, huge fan, Dad's a huge fan. And we actually met him when we were like 10 and 8, and he doesn't remember.
Yeah.
And
remember us?
Yeah. Ray.
Don't think so.
So Ray, he's got the water thing up, and I'm a little nervous. So I'm like, dude, we should like gas a beer before we go up there or something, have a shot, whatever. And but like those guys probably aren't drinking. And then the people organizing are like, Mr. Bourque, like, can we get you a water? And he's like, yeah, but can you get me that clear water cup, but just put vodka and ice in it? And they were like, oh, sure. Oh, nice. And then I was like, oh, here we go, dude. Yeah, so then like Jelly got a drink, Wendell got a drink. We got, like, so everyone was actually just boozing up on stage. And I was like, God, dude, ripping some vodkas with Ray Bourque at a live show is pretty sick. That was awesome.
What's your favorite hockey slang?
Ooh. What did you say? What was the one you got with loops the other day? I couldn't remember it.
There's a couple of good ones.
I mean, God, I love so many of them.
Oh, it was Hoser. It was Hoser. That was funny. That was funny.
I love lettuce. I think lettuce is a great term. Letty's a great term. I don't know if you guys do this, but like we're pretty tight with a lot of the Kings guys. And if something's fucked up, like if we're like giving each other shit and you like do something fucked up, we all call it offside now. And I love that. Like when we're like, if you fuck me over, I'm like, that was offside, dude. Don't do that again. That shit I love. I love the word dummy. Like dummying someone is great.
I say dust a lot.
Dust is great. I like plug. Plug is such a good one. Calling a civilian a plug is always funny. Like I'm in line.
A civilian, you're talking as if you're in the mafia.
But you know what I mean? Like you're in line at the grocery store, some guy's taking forever, and I'm like, this fucking plug was taking 50 minutes to buy a carton of milk and eggs, and like that shit fucking cracks me up all the time. But I try to stay away from it as much as possible because of the world blending, right? Like if we go into a meeting trying to pitch a movie and I'm just ripping hockey slang at them, they're like, what language are you speaking?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, and us not only do we have like the Canadian like hockey language built in, we also have the French hockey language built in.
Oh my gosh.
That's
like
bad.
Like you learn a whole different thing. So us like genuinely, it's hard for us to genuinely stay in one language. Yeah. Like us, I don't know how we've done a bilingual page, but like we have no choice.
Yeah.
Oh, we have no choice. It's impressive. I think the last question that I'd have for you guys is like, it's kind of a two-part question. It's like, number one, where do you guys see this podcast going moving forward? And is there ever a day you think you'll have to make a choice between being a screenwriter and doing this hockey podcast? And is it coming soon?
I'll go first. The show, I think our goal, because we have these talks all the time, right? What's our goal? Where do we want to take it? And I think I love what it is, and I love that it's growing, and I want to keep doing that, and I want to keep experimenting with different formats, different live events, whatever. Chicklets does like the roller tournament, you know, like I'd love to keep messing around with stuff like that. But personally, I don't ever want to I don't want to be on TNT like that job Biz got, and that's a sick job and he loves it and is cleaning up. But I'm like, I don't know that I wanted to be an analyst. Maybe the podcast becomes like a Pat McAfee show, that direction. Like I'm not opposed to that, but I don't think I wanted to be on TV. So I think for now we're happy just continuing to roll like it is, and like I said, keep experimenting. The movie stuff is conveniently with movies. Well, it's fun and not fun, but once we write it and sell it, it's just gone. Like the studio owns it and they're like, hey, we'll let you know when this comes out in 3 years. And you're like, okay. So it's kind of out of your hands. And for sure, especially during playoffs, we're jammed up with deadlines, with scripts when they're like, hey, this draft is due. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm in Edmonton. So, so it can be tricky, but for the most part, we can make time with the movies. The hard thing would be TV, and we don't do too much TV anymore, but if we did a TV show, like let's say that New England Prep Friday Night Lights show got picked up, TV writing is like a 9 to 5. Like movie writing, you just get it done and get it to me by, end of July. TV writing is like, hey, we are in an office with a group of writers 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And that would be very difficult. If, let's say next season we're trying to do the show and like a TV thing gets picked up, we're like, fuck, that would be a tough conversation. I'm confident we can make it work, pod in the middle of the night or some shit. But that would be sticky for sure. You can answer too.
I think we really like being busy, and I think Chris just said it well. I don't think we're at least anytime soon going to have to decide between the two. I think deciding between the two, one or the other would have to be going so insanely well that it would be a tough decision, but also a decision that you're like, well, whatever, this one's going so well, who cares? I love both. I'd like to do both as long as possible. As far as where I want Empty Netters to go, whether it be us or us continuing to do great things and other people do it, I want all of us in this hockey world to get to that level where there's a network of constant hockey content that people can find. I hate it that, and this is no disrespect, I hate it that how morning of Game 7, we go for a workout in the morning, went and grabbed some food, we're sitting at a bar picking up some food, and ESPN is on, and it's fucking Stephen A. Smith talking about hockey. And I was like, you got to be fucking shitting me that this is the best coverage that we can give people in the States right now on Game 7 of possibly the greatest Stanley Cup final of all time. What I want for our show, your show, Chicklets, all these guys is for all of us to keep going and keep growing so that we get more Pat McAfees of the hockey world, so that we get 12 months of the year a constant hockey content that is available for hockey fans. Like the fact that it's not football season and every day I turn on ESPN and can put on Pat McAfee and he's talking about football, that is insane. It's both insane to me and also amazing to me because I'm like, there are football fans who want to talk and think about football all day long.
All year long.
All year long. There are hockey fans like that too. And I want us all to help each other and grow, whether it be podcasts, whether it be TV, whether it be broadcast, whether it be streaming, to just keep elevating everybody so that no matter what, if you're a hockey fan, you can pop on TV or YouTube and find one of our shows 24/7 all year long talking about hockey. That's what I want.
Honestly, I don't think there's a better end to the show than that, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And see you guys next time.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks a lot.